Hey everyone, it is Maud Masiak, your host for Unpack with Goey. In this episode, I get the chance to chat with Jennifer, the traveling mom and creator behind the feed Wonders Within Reach. I had fun unpacking the feed of this rock star mom that is traveling the world with three kids, one being a wheelchair user. We had a really great chat about inclusivity in the travel industry, the realities of wheelchair travel, and more. If you are scared of tantrums, especially with kids on the spectrum, Jennifer will make you feel right at home in this episode. It's full of encouraging vibes. I promise you, you will come out determined to book your next trip, no matter what life throws at you. So let's unpack.
Picture this. You're enjoying a book on the beach, your kids playing in the sand in the background. Wait a second. Let's keep it real here. If you've traveled with kids, you know that picture perfect vacation is rarely the whole story. Welcome to Unpack with GoWe, the show where Maud sits down with family travel influencers to break down the feed. We're going behind the perfect aesthetic to find the real reality of traveling with kids, the good, the bad, and the messy. Get the raw, unfiltered tips you won't see on Instagram. It's time to dive in and unpack with GoWe.
Jennifer, how are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks, Mom. I'm doing well, and I'm happy to be here to connect with you and to share.
Yeah, great. Awesome. So let's get started. What I really like to do is to start by unpacking your feeds. We have, in the travel industry, this kind of reputation of presenting only the pretty and the glamorous, side of things. And so at GoWe, we like to keep it real. We like to keep it sincere. And so our parents wants to know really what's behind your feed. First, I wanted to know, what is the biggest misconception that you've experienced when traveling with kids? Things that people have told you, like, for example, you must have a lot of money to travel.
Yeah, I could have loads here because obviously the money one applies to any family. I think, like, no, you don't have to be made out of money to travel. For us, so my focus is on accessibility. I have a travel blog for families with disabilities, and we actually have multiple disabilities in our family, but the one that we focus on for media purposes is physical mobility. So my son is a wheelchair user, and that is a pretty big barrier for people who are not used to wheelchair travel. And I know it was for me as well when I started. We didn't know that we could be pretty limitless with a wheelchair until we started to live that life and experience it. So that's actually why we share a lot, because we have, a lot of people are like, oh, you can't go to this place or this place or this place with a wheelchair. And cute that you found this one thing that you can do, but in reality, it's not worth going out because of all the other things you can't do. But we have found over and over again that anywhere you go, there is something you can do that makes it worthwhile. I think that's our biggest thing that we kind of address is, oh, you can't travel with a wheelchair. Watch me.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, this is one of the most inspiring things that you are sharing.
The other small thing I would mention is that it's not necessarily vacation to travel. So I think that we have in our mind going to the beach and laying on the sand with our floppy hats and reading a book while the children play peacefully in the ocean. But that's not necessarily what it looks like when you travel, right? When you're going with your three children with different needs, it's a little bit more active and involved. We're parenting wherever we go. As a homeschool mom, you're generally teaching wherever you go. So it's not like you give up all of the chaos of home. You just take it with you and you go somewhere nice.
Right. It's repackaged with a pretty view and some other experience.
Yeah,
No,
that's right.
100%. Yeah, and I really think this is a good valid point for misconception, because a lot of polished, feeds and travel is that it fixes the issue that you have with your
Yeah,
children,
every moment
or
looks like a vacation, but it's not.
exactly. It's not. I mean, even in a cruise, you have facilities, but it is not. Awesome. Well, thank you for being honest about that. I think we can all relate. What is one parenting rule that you completely abandoned when you started to travel?
I feel like seemed important, and now I'm a terrible mom. Fast food, we're pretty healthy people. My husband cooks healthy meals. We get all the staples in, and I was pretty anti-fast food. But let me tell you, if you have a 12-hour travel day and you don't want to make it a 14-hour travel day, you are feeding those children in motion, right? You're going for fast food through a drive-through. Nobody gets out. You just get your food and keep going. Or if we are in different places, we were just in Japan for a few weeks, and my husband and I loved all the different foods that we could try, but it was draining to my children, right? They were cooperative and they would try the new things, but it was not a vacation vibe for them. They were not enjoying it. It was adding to the stress of something new and different for every meal. And so we did McDonald's in Japan, which they loved. Actually, we had just gone to a Michelin-starred restaurant.
Please tell us what happened there.
Well, so we had to order enough food for everybody because it's like part of the rules of the restaurant, and we knew the kids wouldn't eat it. So Philip and I, my husband, we ate enough for 5 people. Pretty much is how that went down, because they all tried it and they smiled and nodded and were polite, but they did not enjoy it. And so then when we were done, there was a McDonald's that was like a block away, and we let them go to McDonald's, and that was their exciting moment where, yeah, we can get chicken nuggets and French fries. I feel like that's part of the experience, right? You want it to be a wow and a fun moment. Like that's what our Michelin-starred meal was for us. So we gave that to them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think that's what we're missing often. It's like when we have this to-do list or this bucket list or those rigid no in vacation, we are missing the point that at some point they need to feel like it was a cool experience.
Yeah.
And often for kids is fast food or some museum with a lot of screens or something like that. Sometimes even the screen in an airplane. So, everything can go for them to come out happy also. That's super important. So one moment you didn't post on your feeds because you knew it would break your aesthetic or your brand vibe. Like, tell us the truth. What
Yeah.
happened?
So overall, I'm pretty vulnerable online, especially from the disability perspective, and that I want people to know what is real, because I don't ever want to mislead someone. Oh, this was an easy vacation. And then they get there and like, this is not easy. We have all of these barriers. I do have barriers with my kids. So Nella, my youngest, has made it very clear that she does not want anything posted when she's unhappy or uncomfortable. That's her boundary. She doesn't want to appear that way online. So that's fine. There's no crying videos of Nella. And then Jayden, my middle son, he has some behavioral health things, which I tried to give him the space to keep that personal. So I think he's getting to the age, he's 5th grade now, where he doesn't necessarily want that online, that people can see that. And so those are things that we keep off of the internet.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right. Sometimes it's not just keeping those moments private. It's not just about your feed or like presenting vacation as an easy factor. It can also just be protection.
Yeah.
So when parents look at influencer in general, but also even like articles about vacations, they've always have to keep that lens that not everything can make it to the public view, and it's super important.
Yeah, and there are some times where I will say in text what can't be pictured. I often joke that if you see a picture of the back of my kids' heads, it's because they're crying. Like,
I mean,
this is a great picture of whatever beautiful scenic area in the back of their heads looking at it, because they're actively like melting down right now and I can't get a picture of their face.
I think I have a lot of those.
Right?
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, they're humans, right? Kids are humans. We can't have them perfect all the time, no matter how experienced you are as a traveling parent. You can't. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, we have meltdowns too. And I'm not putting those online either. So yeah, but they're there. They do exist. They're there. Awesome. All right. And the last question I like to ask about your feed and unpacking it is, what is one destination that everyone raves about that, really was a kind of a huge letdown in terms of taking your kids to?
So I don't think we've ever been somewhere that the experience was so awful that I'm like, oh, I would never go back there again. I feel like everywhere we've gone, we found something that we could enjoy. The places that are on our family's mental list of, oh, we would never go there, are because of our experiences there that were personal to our family. I know, Maude, we had a fabulous time when we went to Mexico together, but my children will never go to Mexico again, because when we went as a family, I ended up in the hospital. And I think that was scarring enough to them. I'm like, nope, not doing Mexico. Never again.
Right. So it's not so much the country, the culture, the food or whatnot. Sometimes it's
Right.
just something super, the emotion.
I think you make a mental memory that you can't shake. So
And-
I don't think we'll ever be back to Mexico.
Well-
Beautiful as it is, as good as the food is.
Yeah, maybe not as family, but maybe one day, because you're giving them the travel bug, they'll want to try it again. I don't know. Hopefully for them, I guess. But yeah, no, it's tough because we also forget that a lot. Like the emotion factor in both ways, bad or good, right? Like some places we tend to recommend, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have so much of a good time with your kids, but they're all affiliated to your emotion. Even something as simple as when you went in the weather. Like a lot of people, for example, complain about London, like, oh, London is gray, London is Da, da, da. No, for me, every time I went to London, I do not know how I'm doing this, but I had the sunshine. And so, of course, it did affect how I visited
Yeah.
London. I visited a lot more parks, a lot more strolling down the street instead of staying on the indoor stuff. So what I recommend to about London is often rooted in my emotion and my appreciation of the trip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think about my kids in one of their favorite states, and it was a small town in Pennsylvania, so not even far from home. But when we got to our hotel and checked in, they had chocolates for the kids and they had toys. Yeah, I think that like started the trip. Like, yeah, we're gonna like this place. And then they did because they were greeted in that way. And so they were excited about it before we even did anything. And it was just a couple candies and a Slinky, and they were set for life.
So note to self for any hotel that is listening to us, please put chocolates on your pillow for the kids. That will like change their trip altogether. You may just become a new ambassador of your destination because of that. Awesome. I love those
Absolutely.
stories. They're the cutest. So Wander Within Reach is your platform, is where you share candidly and where you kind of encourage also other families with different abilities, physical and non-physical abilities also sometimes, where you kind of promote that, like you can do it, you can travel. It may not look pretty all the time. It may be a little difficult, but at the end you can and you should. So I want you to share with us what are 3 truths that people should know about traveling with a wheelchair.
Yeah, this could probably go on forever, but thinking of the things that stood out the most. The first is family rooted anyhow. You've learned this even with one child, and then it grows with 2 to 3, and then adding on disabilities. Everything takes longer than you think it will. So in my mind, and I still do this, and when I was planning Japan, I built an itinerary that has, like 8 different things that we're going to do each day. And I know that we can't make it to them, but I feel like, well, I'll put them all there just in case. We make it to like 2 a day, right? Not 8. So you got to prioritize. But yeah, just, transferring with the chair or finagling different terrains or the accessible entrance, especially when you're in big cities like New York, they've got these big historic buildings. And so the main entrance has all those stairs, and they have an accessible entrance almost always, but it can be a whole city block around with that you're walking to get into where you have to go. And it just takes away from the flow of the day. So just keeping in mind that everything takes longer than you think it will. So building in margin to your day. There's always something that you can do anywhere you go. So I think I kind of touched upon this when you were talking about places that we didn't like. I think we naturally eliminate options when you're traveling with someone with mobility issues because they're like, okay, well, we can't do the woods. We can't do the beach. We can't do all of these things, historic towns, because you're always thinking of the barriers that seem like they might be obvious there. But in every one of those locations, there will be something that you can do and that you can enjoy. And I have learned with time, especially when we are traveling with Jayden, that it's not even a shift in itinerary. Like if you're planning and you're looking at the things that you can do, like you're not thinking about the things that you can't. So it's a focus on what you're able to do and the trip that you can enjoy. And maybe the restaurants are different, but it doesn't mean that they're not as good. Maybe the trail that you take is different, but it doesn't mean that it's not as good. So yes, it changes where you're going, but it doesn't impact the value of the vacation, which would flow into my last thing of it's always worth it. Wherever we have gone, I have had our own meltdowns of what are we doing here? But in the end, when I've had time to reflect, it has always been worth it. There's never been a barrier that was so big that I'm like, that's it, not going anywhere ever again.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, especially if you have like 10 points to cover during the day in your map or, in your list, in your to-do list, you can absolutely skip. Like if you show up and it's not working out, you can actually having backup plans for families in general, but especially probably families with special needs is a great idea. Because you can always like, okay, this one didn't work out. We lost an hour to get there. But at the very least, now we know, and then we can just move on and go do something else. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that way you don't like finagle with your phone in the middle of the street trying to like desperately find a backup. So starting your day with backups, I guess. That's what I get out of all you.
Yeah,
both.
no, that's
Like,
also valid advice. Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And even when I'm over planning the day, right, some of those things are backups. And especially international travel, it's often hard to find accessibility information. So you have no idea until you get there what you can and cannot do. And so, yes, having something else nearby that is planned. Sometimes there are things that I won't tell my kids are on the itinerary just in case we can't do them when we get there. I don't want it to be a meltdown of then this other fun thing doesn't seem as fun because it's not what they had in mind.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way as, when I became a mom and like over the years is to undershare. It's not that I'm trying to hide stuff, but like there's things that is better if he doesn't know because I'm not sure. Like I don't know if this is gonna happen, if it's even open. Like if it's not clear, I don't promise it.
Yep.
All right. So now I would love to know about, your take on this because you have Jayden that is in a wheelchair and then you have two other kids that don't have that physical barrier to do those activities. And I am sure in your family, like everybody else, everybody has their own little to-do list or like bucket list they want to do and want to hit. How do you balance taking your kids to activities when one of the kids really wants to do it, but another can maybe not access it?
Yeah. Overall, I actually don't see accessibility as an issue in this because we just do fun things. So we look for epic things that everyone will love and everyone can participate in. And I think that's been a non-issue for us because we can find a lot of really fun things that we can all do. I think in that actually phase of life right now is the age difference becomes more of the planning piece where, okay, well now I have a teenager and I have a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. How are we balancing something that everyone enjoys? A little girl who likes unicorns and boy who likes baseball and then the teenager who's too cool for anything, no matter what you find.
Oh my goodness, this is a phase I am not looking forward to. Oh my gosh.
Everything is, nah, it was fine. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Wesley, your older one, is he participating into like the planning more or less because of his nonchalance about everything?
I would say equally, actually, because we've always had the kids very involved in our planning, and we still use the Go We apps. I'll hand him my phone and say, if you don't have anything, 'cause we'll look at the tourism page. If you don't see anything you like here, we'll check out the Go We app. You can look at the things that are added here. These are all, the kid-friendly activities, so see what you like. So that he will do a lot of the planning things. And I think he's still excited and he still loves it. He just won't show it. So if you get it was good, that means, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was the best day of my life.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and you take that but yeah, at least you'll remember them and like, cherish them just the same, I guess. So like they don't have to be always expressive. So I know that with traveling with different abilities can come frustration. I mean, it's just human, I know that during our travels, I've been frustrated for you. So I can imagine how you've been feeling all these years, seeing places that just didn't do that little nudge that would have made your experience as a mom but your whole family's experience much better. Do you remember at least like one very infuriating moment where you saw that lack of accessibility and then you were like, come on, like this is not that hard. They could have done that better.
Yeah, I think even the attitude you're asking the question reveals the heart of the issue where it's not necessarily a infrastructure as a attitude of whoever is putting the space together and people are not paying attention or not understanding. Think of the places that tell us that we can do everything there and we can't, and the places that assume that we can do all the things and we can't. We had a bookstore that I called ahead to ask if they were accessible and they said yes. And I have been doing this long enough that I clarify with specific questions of barriers that we could face. So I asked, are there any stairs to get in? Well, yes, there are 3 steps to get in, but you can get in with a wheelchair. We've had wheelchair users in here before. Like, well, I'm glad that you've had a wheelchair in there before, but you are not accessible. And she said, well, they're wide and and I guess they're shallow. So you can roll a chair up and down the stairs. I don't know. Still, I mean, I'm thinking like para athletes maybe who have the arm strength to like bump themselves upstairs. I don't even know. But I mean, what if it's a power chair? She didn't know what kind of chair we were using. She just said you can go up and down the stairs because they're wide and they're shallow. No, you cannot. It was at the beach and we were on the boardwalk, so we saw the stairs and they were still, I don't know, maybe 6 inches high at least. So they're not like, it's not like a little ledge. There's still stairs. Yeah. So people not knowing what they have and how that would be a barrier. I think that's really frustrating when you go to a place and they think that they are accessible and then you get there and this is not accessible. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that is insane to me. And then they will put that on Google Map too. Like they'll put accessibility on Google Maps. So that creates a whole different of layers of problem when you plan your vacation. And then like to your point, it's not even the accessibility factor. People think of stairs and width of the doors. Those are like the most, I would say, for the non-trained eye, it's like the most obvious one. Oh, they have a lift. Okay, maybe they are, they are ADA. But I remember having discussion with you about like even something simple as when you get into the room, the ADA room, is there enough room to put your wheelchair around the bed or to access to the bathroom without the door opening the wrong way?
Right.
You
Nice
know,
ADA restroom. Can we get in it?
yes. Oh, it's pretty from the outside, but you can't use it. So it really makes me wonder sometimes if there is kind of institutions or organizations that are out there that are giving kind of like stamps of approval. GUI, we're kind of trying to give some informations that Google may miss, but we don't have the certification or the staff to like send people in and get like that stamp of approval. Do you know like what is your favorite go-to in terms of
I was
that?
going to say there are actually quite a few. So with the physical spaces, I think Wheel the World is probably the biggest in that space right now, where they partner with destinations and they send people in with tape measures and assessment checklists to go through every level of accessibility. And then if you're booking through their site, you can even search for filters. So making sure that you have whatever it is that you need in your room. So there are some things we can get around because we have a pediatric chair. So, we don't need as wide of a space, but we still need an accessible bathroom, things like that. So you can search specifically, but they do then certifications. I feel really badly because I've spoken with the gentleman who's over it a few times and I've seen his training, but I can't remember what it's called right now. Culture City. I don't know if you are familiar with them, but they do the autism sensory certifications.
I've seen them.
Yeah, and they've been expanding, especially in the US, but around the world. So it's really cool to see their little
Logo.
icon when you go somewhere like, oh, okay, they've thought of us.
I actually just came back from Denmark and they have that little logo, Culture City logo, on the Lego house, like the original Lego house.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's funny because, my son who has, learning disability and other spectrum thing, he recognized that logo and you can see like the sense of representation that comes just from having that logo or like that sensory backpack thing. So I actually my husband is now a professional at detecting those. So it's great.
Funny.
Like when we travel, like he's like, oh, they have the amenity backpack. We're good to go.
It is like it's like a welcome sign, right? You see it and like, oh, they thought of us. They have planned for our arrival. We are welcome.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm sure it's the same with like even like the wheelchair user, like the fact that someone would have thought about putting those little touches, like, the button for opening the doors and things like that, that makes you feel like welcome just right off the bat. And that actually pushed me towards this question, like, what do you feel like there's enough, I would say, representation for kids specifically in the travel industry when they have disabilities of all sorts? Like, do you feel like the travel industry is doing a good job?
No.
I mean, that's honest right there.
I don't like to be a negative Nelly.
Yes, I know.
No. When is the last time that you saw a person with a disability in any travel guide or a travel website or a destination Instagram page? You either have never or you have a specific moment that comes to mind because it was so different that it sticks out in your mind. We're like, oh, well, they did this commercial with this kid with Down syndrome. Yes, and you're thinking about that because it was rare. And it's the one time that you've seen someone do something that had representation. So overall, I have not seen it. The very few times that I have, I will send a note and say thank you and encourage them because I want to see more of that. We have a couple places where we are the representation now because that's part of what we do is we go places to help them to build that. So the next time you're in Pittsburgh and you get your travel guide, we're in the magazine and you can see pictures of my kids because they're working on that because we're working on that so hard. But overall, it's an area for growth for sure.
Yeah, and I'm actually very proud of our social media team at GOE. We do work on that so much, and I do hope that we're making you proud. But yeah, no, it is, and it is intentional. Like you have to, just talking about like from a business owner, perspective, like you have to think carefully about how many representation of each of the members that you're trying to serve is coming through. It can't be just the same family unit. It can't be just the same type of traveler. Yeah. There's so many kinds of travelers. For us, it's all kids. So we do really take pride in like making sure all kids are seeing some sort of representation in their post. And it doesn't cost much, it's just conscious effort.
We think about that in other forms of marketing. If you're selling clothing, whatever, that you're marketing the audience that you want to buy it, right? So you would do the same with travel. And who do we not want to travel? Everyone loves to travel. So you should have all colors, all abilities, everything should be represented there.
100%. Yeah. Do you feel like in your travel, there is a country that did a better job than others? Like, I mean, obviously you've traveled extensively, but not all over. So from your own experience, like what country has done a better job at that inclusivity and that representation?
Yeah, I mean, the US is pretty far ahead in that area because we have laws and not everyone obeys those laws unless they are reported. But overall, I think that's part of why we can go anywhere and find something pretty easily here because it's required. So spaces have to be accessible. Yeah, and you'd like to think that people would welcome you without a legal repercussion. And then in general, first world countries, not just because of finances, but because of perspective. So I think of places where we've gone like developing nations where disability is still very much so seen as a curse. And they are not only not inclusive, they don't want you in public spaces. What you have could be contagious, so please stay away. So, that there are obviously more barriers in places where the mental block is there, where they're not welcoming because they actually don't want you there.
Wow. Yeah. That's another layer I don't think we ever talked about. Yeah. This is definitely something that also I feel like in the terms of like travel guides and travel like OTAs and stuff like that need to do a better job at. Like we should be aware of countries that think your children are cursed. Definitely. Imagine like planning a whole trip, spending all this money, arriving, and then feeling constantly like that during your entire trip. So
Yeah, I've never really thought about that, but that's a good point. You think of in a travel guide how they'll warn you if certain areas are dangerous for a woman traveling solo. It should be a same perspective coverage of, okay, well, in this place, you are not welcome if, and it doesn't mean you can't go there.
It's a choice then.
Right, we can take on anything, but right, you need to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, I mean, travel is not cheap, especially nowadays. So definitely want to enjoy your experience once you get there. Well, I mean, so I feel like we dived quite a bit in your profile and in your platform, and I really encourage any families really, but especially families that are new to travel and that are dealing with some sort of abilities that need to be adjusted either physically or non-physical as well, because you do cover that sometimes also in your content. So I really do recommend people to come check you out. Wonders Within Reach is your platform, and you're on Instagram mainly, and you have also an awesome blog. So yeah, you can. I'll put all those links below anyway. All right, so it's time for our confession corner. Are you ready?
Dun, dun, dun.
I love it. It freaks out everybody, but I am not that mean. All right, so what is the most chaotic moment that made you think, why are we doing this?
So I feel like I need to go two different directions because there are two different kinds of chaos. There is the physical exhaustion when something has been too hard, and that usually is accessibility related. So I've ended up carrying the wheelchair up and down stairs because we weren't able to find an accessible entrance. The thing that comes to mind in particular is when a metro station, the elevator was broken and we weren't able to get on another station because it wasn't accessible. So there wasn't a way to get to the platform. And we ended up walking several miles. And it was when my kids were very little. So we ended up stacking two in the wheelchair and I had one on my shoulders and walked the remaining 2 miles like that with kid on shoulders and two stacked on the chair. And that was one where we got back to our hotel room, which by the way was one of those accessible rooms that couldn't fit the chair to move in the spaces. So we ended up like we couldn't open the door once the chair was in. And that was one of those nights where it's like, was this worth it?
They better remember this.
Right. And then there is the emotional side. So we talked about a little bit that we have some behavioral health things and lots of diagnoses there. It is hard when your kid can't self-regulate to be able to enjoy an experience. And you and I talked about a little bit before we were recording an instance on a train in Japan where, in general, they're quiet on the trains. It's just overall a quieter culture. And to have a meltdown where your kid is screaming and banging things. And part of that is my own pride, but it's like, oh, I can never go in public again.
Yeah, well, luckily people don't remember us most likely. I mean, in Japan, maybe we stick out more, but
Gosh.
yes. No, I mean, I think we all go through those, but you're right. The added layer of that like emotional regulation, because your kids are older. So it's like if they throw a tantrum at 2-year-old in an airplane, it's mortifying for all parents. But when that happens, when your child is like 9, 10, maybe even 11, it hits differently. You're stigmatized as the bad parent automatically, and people are not necessarily looking beyond that. They just don't have that bandwidth, I think, in general. So I feel you. Okay, so another one. What is one thing you wish you knew before you traveled with kids?
Their energy doesn't need to be matched by the energy or the chaos or the busyness of your itinerary. I think I had in my head, like, we need to go and do this, so that the kids are kept entertained, so that they are as busy as their minds are. But in reality, like, they need the downtime like we do. They need the stop and the rest. And we did a trip to Cape May recently where we did hiking trails during the day and we went to the beach. Like, we were physically active, but the playground at the end of the day was still a highlight for them because it was not part of our scheduled itinerary. It was their own freedom to play and do what they wanted. And they were using their bodies even throughout the day, but that was like rest for them. It was like a reset that they needed before we had dinner, where they weren't as on edge. It was like just a breath of fresh air for them. And I think about how we need that. And I didn't really think about it for kids. I thought like they needed the constant entertainment and going. And really, we can all chill out a little bit and it's better for everyone.
Oh, it sounds like we all need to adopt that sweet lifestyle in a siesta of certain countries in Europe. No, I mean, and you're right. Like, and actually, it's a great recommendation for all parents. A little downtime, either a nap if you can, but like a playground for older kids before dinner, kind of can shift your evening completely. I would rather put my kid to bed a little later that night because I know they rested, or because, like, even if they fell asleep a little bit, rather that than having a crappy dinner, because like I try to push them through and then put them to bed. So yeah, give yourself some grace and like plan those downtime, that they're lifesavers for sure. I validate. All right, the last but not least, what is one thing that you can share with us that is considered an unpopular opinion?
I put a lot of thought into this because I feel like I don't have things that are that controversial, but it's 2026 and anything can be controversial.
Let's open the Pandora box and piss everybody off.
It depends on your people group. But this one has gotten me some pushback in online spaces. But I firmly believe that every person has value just the way they are, the way that they were designed, that they should be welcomed in any space. Yeah, I think that we are all the way that we were meant to be. And there's no gatekeeping. We're not shunning people, or there's no one who doesn't deserve to exist. We all deserve to be here, and we have value just the way that we are.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful statement.
It shouldn't be controversial.
This is such a beautiful little overview of who you are as a person. That's Jen. I'm so glad you finished with that. This is so cool. But before I let you go, I have this rapid fire. I love that segment because you can't overthink it, and you got to give me the real. This is your opinion. Nobody is judging it. Just be as real as you can be. The best place for kids.
Again, I'm gonna have to do two because of my kids' opinions, and I have three, so they're all voting.
Okay.
Paris.
Okay.
Is tied with Altoona, Pennsylvania, the tiny little town in Pennsylvania, because both of them had good food everywhere we went. They had accessible activities everywhere for the kids. There were things for a variety of age ranges. So endless entertainment. Oh, and playgrounds. We found playgrounds both.
Playgrounds is a hit. Honestly, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, why are we going across the world? Playgrounds are like right in our backyards, right? Yes, no, 100%. Okay, I'm glad to see my hometown like making the cut. What an honor. Paris for accessibility. How did you feel about that one?
Public transportation is horrible, but other than that, it was good.
It was good. Awesome. Glad to hear. There's definitely, I know there's some work. I mean, I just went there last weekend and with
so
that
the metro,
fun. Yeah.
There's only one line that is accessible. So we can't use the metro. It's the RER that you can use. So if you're going to Disney, but other than that, some buses are accessible, but that gets tricky because you got to be at the right station and the right bus. And
yeah, so maybe like stick with like almost like do a hop of neighborhood if you can. That way you can keep doing things by foot, because Paris is actually super large. Like people don't realize how big that is.
And street accessibility we found was really good. So everywhere we went, there were curb cuts and sidewalks, and it was easy to do that. So we did a lot walking. And most of the museums, churches, even historic structures, they've worked on them to make them inclusive. So it was just transportation that was the hiccup.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Paris, you heard it. You need to work on your inclusivity. All right. So snack MVP, the one you cannot go without.
Just granola bars because they make them in different flavors so everybody can find something they're happy with. And if they fall apart, it's fine. Then you're just like drinking granola from a bag.
What a trick. Okay. All right. So smashed granola bars in a backpack for a drinkable snack. I'll take that one.
Oh gosh. Pour it on your yogurt later. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. So it serves breakfast, snack. It does both. All right. A destination you never go back to. I think you covered that one a
I
little
was gonna
bit.
say,
But
again, I don't think I have anything that's based off of the destination, just off of our experiences.
Mexico, maybe the kids will hold up for a while.
Yeah.
But
Ron, have you already shared yours in a podcast? Is there somewhere you wouldn't go back to?
oh, I'm not the guest. I'm the host. Honestly, I think for me, it's Barcelona.
Yeah?
Again, it's like it's that emotion affiliated with it. This is the only place, believe it or not, in the world where someone tried to steal from me flat out in front of me while I was watching my child. And that feeling, you cannot shake that off.
gosh.
Like the guy tried to rip the bag out of my stroller while I was holding it. So he didn't realize that when your mom bag is heavy, the stroller will do like a whoop.
Right,
you know?
right. So your hand is in there. Mhm.
Luckily for me, he was apparently not versed in having kids. So
Yeah.
I looked at him straight in the eye. Another guy like screamed at him because he saw the whole scene unfold. And it was in bright daylight, like full street. That's when I realized I was like, yeah, okay, that city is not cut like the others. Like Paris is known for its pickpocket, but the violence that came with that action to me threw me off. So like that created this whole emotion like we talked about.
Yeah.
Maybe the city is beautiful, maybe some people having a good time, but I don't think I'd go back because I
Yeah,
didn't
because it
care
feels
for it.
unsafe.
Yeah, it did. So thanks for asking. All right. So one thing you always overpack.
Always, and I'm not sorry, our medical supplies, because we can't buy them other places. So we always travel with too many diapers, too many catheters, too many whatever the medical equipment, because if we run out of that, we're stuck. Like anything else, we can find a place to buy a replacement, shoes, clothes. Okay, fine. But there are basic necessities, and I don't care if we come home with leftover stuff. I don't want to run out.
Right. And sometimes you even deliver it at your friend's house, like white glove service.
We had medical supplies shipped to Maud's house, and they arrived after we left.
Yeah, that was a fail on the delivery part. But you made it work again. Like that was one of those. Like, what are you gonna do? And then I forgot what you did, but you made it work.
I don't remember what we did.
I don't know.
And this
We
is
made
why now
ship
I
stuff.
overpack everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Are you team plan it or wing it when you travel?
I'm anti-teams. I would be.
You're really a rebel today. My goodness.
I would wing it. And I feel like that's my go-to style, but because of our situation in life, we can't. We need to plan. We need to research. We need to do this awful, outdated thing where you make phone calls because people don't list on their websites whether they are accessible or not. And then you have to talk to someone to find out what you can and cannot do. And sometimes that person doesn't even know. So we do a lot of planning.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That the whole phone call thing. That's like my imagine doing that in foreign languages.
Yeah.
Yeah. That adds another layer altogether. But more props to you. You don't let that turn you off. It's really a testament on how determined you are to travel with kids, but also how your parenting journey can often push you outside of your comfort zone. And if you let it just a
Definitely.
little bit, maybe you discover new strength. Because I've seen you doing it all this with so much grace. I'm like, I don't think I could do it. But then I'm thinking, a lot of people look at my life and they think they couldn't do it. So like, I think we're all looking at each other thinking we couldn't do what they do. And in the reality is traveling with kids or traveling with different abilities is just in new normal when you become a parent, right? So you just adjust, move on, and don't let that bring you down. So
Yeah, as you say this, I think of one of the most impactful travel moments for me was actually somewhere that was not very accessible. We were staying in Budapest and we had a lot of barriers and I did a lot of chair carrying and we got a lot of help from random strangers. But it was actually that trip that left me feeling the most empowered and that we went somewhere that was really hard and we did it and we loved it. Like we enjoyed all of the things and we did it as a family and it was beautiful. And it was kind of a light bulb for me of I can do hard things, right? It's not that we have to find all of the accessible things. It's that we can enjoy life together and we will figure out how to do it no matter what the obstacles are. And so, yeah, just that was my travel learning experience.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Jennifer. Everyone, you should go check her platform, Instagram mainly, Wonders Within Reach, and kind of get inspired. If she can do it, so can you. Just book your ticket and do something,
Yeah.
I guess.
We have lots of fun, accessible itineraries. I finally just added a map to the blog so you can search by destination.
That's
Easy to find,
awesome.
convenient for everyone.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for coming in today, Jennifer. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Thanks for having
Bye.
me and answering your own question.